a scale of 1 to 10, what is your average stress level?
I would say 6.
Probably about a 7 constantly.
I'd say about an 8.
No, probably a 6.
I'm about a 7.
Sometimes it can be a 10 even, so yeah.
For years, I've been overly agitated, worried, irritable. I've had trouble sleeping and concentrating. I often avoid social situations and I have panic attacks frequently. Last fall, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and it was the biggest relief of my life. I'm competitive, I'm aggressive, I'm driven, and I'm also suffering with the #1 mental health disorder. It doesn't matter what school you attend, where you live, if you play sports or an instrument or video games. Anxiety can happen to anyone, anywhere, and we need to talk about it.
It's just a really common experience for students and for adults alike.
Everyone has anxiety. It may not be diagnosed, but everyone gets anxious.
It affects your feelings, it affects your behavior.
Anxiety by itself isn't the problem, it's how we handle the anxiety that can or cannot be an issue, or how great the anxiety is.
And it can be anywhere from just stress or an actual anxiety disorder.
If you're over concerned that it reduces your ability to concentrate and focus, that's a problem.
You're looking at functioning. Someone's functioning is being impacted. Like they can't even prepare for that exam because they're so in their head with their own worry.
I reach a point where I can't do the things that I need to do.
I have everything going on and everything is wrong, and it's like taking over your whole body.
It clouds your ability to continue with everyday things.
I overthink absolutely everything. Literally everything. It's consuming, but you have to calm yourself down.
And sometimes anxiety can really come out in anger.
Can't be around people very agitated.
You'll have someone who is just quick to yell or get upset easily or frustrated. They're in such an anxious state, it's really hard for them to really think about things rationally and process through what's really upsetting them, and so they act out a lot. Really be mindful of the automatic negative thoughts that we might be telling ourselves.
There's a little voice in my head that says, like, you're not good enough, you need to do better, you need to try harder, I don't know. I'm just always struggling with, like, not feeling like I'm good enough.
I hear these thoughts all the time, and they're just not true. They're not true, but our brain is telling us it's true.
And it's telling you everything is going to be a problem.
Someone fails to see any other outcome other than the worst.
All of these scenarios that you're thinking about in your head that are so irrational, they could happen. You know that they're not going to happen, but they could happen.
You know it's irrational, but it doesn't stop. It doesn't reverse that, even though you can be like, okay, I know I don't need to worry about this.
It's just really tiring, I'd say, and it's all I focus on.
I've had like 8 hours worth of just like feeling completely terrible, and it totally exhausts you completely.
Anything that we do that's different or new can create anxiety.
I have anxiety about a lot of random things.
It's like universal stress.
So you see it in the family line, so there can be a huge genetic component too. So you may not have anything that's maybe going on in your life, it's just there.
There's something else going on that makes someone stressed out about those things.
What stresses me out in my social life is what's going on in other people's heads, because you don't know what's going on in everyone else's head.
The social climate, I would say. I guess you can call it social anxiety.
There are like certain people that I'm a little stressed around.
I could wonder what they're thinking, what's going on, like if they really want to be sitting down talking to me right now. Like
Every day it made it hard to connect with people.
I used to get really anxious about coming to school.
Walking into class every day, in the hallway, someone might say something.
Like you have to tell yourself, you have to go through the motions of calming yourself down and being like, of course they like me.
No, the social media has a lot to do with it.
Everything's so visible too with social media.
It makes it seem like I have to be doing something. Everyone else is. Why am I not?
But then you're constantly exposed to just false representations of people's lives. And it makes you feel like shit.
I need to follow what other people are doing. What I think I should be doing is often fueled by the exposure, social media.
It just makes life a lot more difficult because it brings in all these factors that you never had before.
My anxiety has switched from social to more future, like thinking about the future, about where am I going to end up.
The future stresses me out, and because sometimes I don't feel like I have control over it.
I think in our society today, or at least around kids our age, is the massive pressure of knowing what you're going to do in the future.
As we start talking to kids when they're little about where are you going to go to college, what are you going to do, how are you going to do on your ACTs and SATs.
There's a lot more pressure on youth. It's crazy, like the things that are expected.
I feel like they put a lot of pressure on teens to like, you must perform now in order to have a good future later.
It's harder and harder to get into to these different colleges, so that makes our students add more and more to their resume and take certain harder classes to really set themselves apart.
One of the big problems, we started talking about college and high school, and that just makes me a lot more stressed out. Yeah.
Our schools are extremely competitive. Sure, there are classmates, but at the end of the day, we're all applying to relatively the same schools. It's incredibly stressful because it breeds an environment where you have to do better than the next person.
And being in a school where there are a lot of people like that, there are a lot of people like me, it creates a lot of hysteria.
People are like, I need a 97 average on everything. And I'm like, I don't. But should I?
And it's hard to not care about something when everyone else around you does.
So there's a difference between a panic attack and then there's anxiety attacks, which is like a lesser form of a panic attack, but you're still having the physiological components.
Panic attacks are the worst things ever. Yeah.
So a panic attack is when your body takes over to process the anxiety.
That happens to me, honestly, really frequently.
The main cause of it is stress.
Honestly, if you're stressed out about something to any degree, if you're worried about something, it can happen.
Everything builds up. And then that accumulates over days, weeks, months, and then I just break down. Like, I just completely break down.
So you have somatic or physical complaints with the anxiety.
Someone who's having panic, what's going on is they're breathing. It's one of the symptoms. They start to breathe with an irregular rate, and that's sending signals to the body and to the mind to freak out, freak out, freak out.
I just can't handle it. I start to breathe really heavily.
I would get what's called vocal cord spasms, and what those were is like my vocal cords would snap shut.
And I get what's called sensory overload. Everything becomes too much, like noises are too loud, smells are too strong. It kind of makes you like totally freak out.
You feel like you can't breathe, your heart's racing, you feel like you're going to pass out. Sometimes people get dizzy. I've had people complain that they can't feel their arm.
Honestly, it feels like a heart attack, like the way that you would exhibit a heart attack.
Like it's everything screaming at you, and you have to be like,
You literally think you're gonna die.
multiple times I've gone to the nurse just in absolute tears and been like, I need to calm down.
Yeah, I just like freak out, and I don't know how to describe it all the way because honestly, I don't even feel what I'm doing.
That's your body taking over. Like, that's everything just completely taking over, and you literally cannot calm yourself down.
My mind gets into this blur, and I just can't do it. Like,
When they get like super full-blown panic attack, it is super difficult to come down from it.
But you want to try to change the focus or the direction of what your brain's thinking.
I like to kind of remove myself from whatever might be making me anxious.
So the biggest thing when someone's having panic is we need to regulate the breath.
I really focus on breathing, like breathe in for 7, hold for 5.
And that will start to send signals to the brain and to the body that it's time to calm down.
If you've not experienced too many panic attacks, deep breathing is not something that comes easily. It's just not.
I have to calm myself down, like I'm okay, it's okay, like I'm gonna figure this out, and it's not good to handle it alone.
One of the best things you can do is actually, like, if you're with someone, for them to just straight up hug you as tight as they possibly can. But because you're being held, it like reverses that fight or flight stimulation, and like, it's supposed to chill you out.
You need another person to be like, it's okay, and help you go through the motions of calming yourself down. How do I manage my anxiety? I don't. No one does.
I still can't, to an extent, control it. I can't.
Because I think the only way to really get better with it is to honestly suck it up.
We want to give in to that pain right now instead of waiting and holding on and seeing that you can work through things.
It empowers you to a degree if you can say like, no, I can do this, I can do this.
It's building your emotional muscles instead of building your physical muscles and being able to say, I did it. Like, I was really worried about that, but I did it.
You have to look at the positive side of things. So like, everything happens for a reason.
Make a conscious effort to see the other side, to not see the worst aspect.
Talk about it, reach out, get support.
It's always good to talk to people, I think. I think that's the best thing because it takes it away from you and it makes it so you know that you're not the only one handling that.
Be mindful of the exercise, the output, right, with your body.
I use meditation a lot. I go to like yoga class and they kind of taught me.
It really helped with learning how to control deep breathing. And it always just feels like you're super relaxed and it's like all the tension's kind of gone.
So yeah, whenever I feel stressed, I just do a 5-minute meditation and it calms my mind down. I say like my thoughts are not as controlling and I can tell myself like it's gonna be okay.
Swimming calms my anxiety like no other. When you're in the water and you're swimming and you're just like, okay, one arm after another, like you're just pulling yourself through the water. Thank God I don't have to think about anything but keeping myself alive right now. Just breathe. You're just breathing. And there's no better feeling than getting out and being like, I'm good. I'm fine.
It's really good to look at the bigger picture.
We want you to actually give it great perspective of, is this something that I actually need to be afraid of? What's going to happen?
Kids that, while they're stressed, they perform really well, but at the end of the day, I don't see it as being worth it.
And you're going to be much more happier in your life and more successful if you take care of you and you do you.
Mental illness as a general topic is very difficult to explain to people who haven't experienced it or haven't known people who've experienced it.
I always feel this pressure inside of me and like people don't understand it.
If I say to like one of my friends, I'm worried about X, and they're like, well, you shouldn't worry about that, that's silly.
Good idea, I'm gonna try that next time. Thank you so much.
And I feel like people always are like, just calm down, and I physically can't calm down. It's so difficult for me to calm down.
It's not a simple fixed solution, and we know we're being ridiculous.
Don't agree with me, don't disagree with me. Just stand there and listen to me,
Just that simple level of understanding goes so much farther than trying to fix problems.
I just want there to be someone comforting me. I feel like that's the most important thing because they can't control what's going on. They can't fix it. I can't fix it, so.
Just be nice to people. It's really not that difficult, and it goes such a long way. And I think if everybody did that for everybody, it would just be a lot easier.
Just because you're anxious is not an issue.
It's not necessarily a bad thing.
You can see it as being helpful.
To some degree, it's good.
And we don't actually want to take all of your anxiety away.
It pushes you to do better and more beyond of what you would actually think.
We know based on research, and you can look up the Yerkes-Dodson law, is moderate anxiety leads to the greatest performance.
There are ways I think people can come out of it, and I think that's important for everyone to know.
It's all gonna turn out the way it's supposed to.
Just focus on being happy and your self-care. Don't forget about those two things.
Chances are someone close to you is experiencing anxiety. It doesn't mean you're broken or sick or a bad person. It just means you need help dealing with your life and your emotions. Pressure comes from every direction. Parents, peers, teachers, coaches, social media, and even from within yourself. It's a lot, and many of us need help, so let's talk about it.